Liberal Viewer present.
So I've never used any profanity myself in my YouTube videos, though you will hear some profanity in this one, and I do accept that as a private company, YouTube has a right to set whatever content standards it wants, but I was still disappointed this month to see YouTube institute stricter rules disfavoring profanity and sexually suggestive conduct, apparently to placate advertisers and become more like the broadcast networks that are subject to government regulation by the FCC. On Fox News, however, Bill O'Reilly and his internet cop right-wing blogger Amanda Carpenter were more than happy to report on the new restrictions on YouTube, though without reporting on the change in profanity rules that's proving most controversial, as you can see in this clip.
YouTube is now starting to censor some of the lascivious videos they get, correct?
Yes. What's going on is right now that they won't allow you to post, explicit sex acts, but they didn't have any prohibitions on sexually suggestive material. So that is the new kind of structure that they're going to put in place. They're going to put a sign there so that if someone's under the age of 18, they need to put in their birth date, kind of like what liquor sites like Bacardi.
Yeah, but they can't police that. Can they really police that?
Right. No, I mean, it's pretty easy.
So it's a symbolic gesture.
Right, it's easy to defeat, but I do think it's a move in the right direction because YouTube wants to compete with regular broadcast television, and if they want to ever get to that point, they need to have broadcast standards. So maybe this is
God, broadcast standards these days, Amanda, you know what I'm talking about here?
O'Reilly Factor's good.
And people go to YouTube to see this kind of stuff.
Now, not only did Bill O'Reilly and Amanda Carpenter completely focus on the minor change in the treatment of sexually suggestive conduct, conveniently allowing O'Reilly to run the very booty-shaking videos he stuck crying, but the Fox News analysis skipped right over the change in profanity rules. Meanwhile, Fox Television, joined by other broadcast networks, is fighting all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court to protect their right to broadcast profanity, disputing FCC indecency fines for the profane utterances you can see Carter Phillips, the lawyer for Fox, describe when arguing the case before the Circuit Court of Appeals back in December 2006 in this clip.
In 2002, the renowned actress and singer Cher responded to her critics in a television show by saying, "Fuck 'em." And in 2003, Nicole Richie, who is an actress, commented on her own television show, which is entitled "The Simple Life," by saying that it was hardly all that simple because does anybody know how hard it is to get, how fucking hard it is to get cow shit out of a Prada purse?
Now, courts allow the FCC to regulate broadcasters despite First Amendment free speech rights on the theory that broadcasters are licensed to use limited public airwaves at times when kids might be listening. But before the Bush administration, the FCC never punished what are called fleeting expletives, meaning unplanned, isolated incidents of profanity, leading broadcasters to expect more freedom, as you can see the lawyer for Fox arguing here.
It's important to be very clear about what their regime was for 30 years. Speech that is indecent must involve more than the isolated use of an offensive word. That's the policy that's been out there.
And now they have admitted that it's a changed policy. For a while they said it was always somehow lurking there.
Well, they say that it's somehow always been lurking there, but I can assure you from the network's perspective, it has never been assumed that there was any potential risk. And indeed, if you look at the 1987 Pacifica order, which specifically approves, against an indecency charge, the uses of the phrases "motherfucker," "eat shit," and "fuck the USA," and walks away from them and says those aren't indecent.
Now, personally, I don't think swear words alone should ever be censored as indecent, either through the regulation of broadcasters by the FCC or by the decision of a private company to disfavor certain content, but I want to know what you think. Should YouTube really be fighting to become more like the broadcast networks in its treatment of profanity, at a time when the broadcast networks are fighting in the U.S. Supreme Court to become more like YouTube? And on the more basic question, wasn't there value in showing exactly what that lawyer for Fox argued in court like I did in this video, which would be bleeped out and lost if the same material were to air on broadcast TV?
YouTube, you decide.